The last time you got sick, you likely knew what to do. You searched your symptoms, took something from the medicine cabinet, or called a doctor. Even while feeling miserable, you understood exactly what was happening inside your body. For most of human history, that understanding didn't exist. Without warning, your own body turned against you from the inside, with no visible wound, no predator, and no obvious cause for fever or weakness. Ancient cultures arrived at the only conclusion that fit their reality. The Sumerians believed illness was caused by demons. The Egyptians saw it as a punishment from the gods. Across every continent, sickness was viewed as a supernatural intrusion. Their explanation was wrong, but the instinct that a foreign entity had entered the body and needed to be extracted was correct. They just couldn't see the invaders. It would take humanity another 200,000 years to identify the microscopic organisms, bacteria, viruses, and parasites that were actually making them sick. Yet, despite facing a threat they couldn't comprehend, early humans survived. They thrived because they followed a relentless instinct to fight back rather than surrender. The earliest healers operated as mediators between the physical and spiritual worlds. While they believed they were communicating with spirits, their methods often involved intense physical intervention. Archaeological sites dating back 40,000 years provide clear evidence of this care. Burial grounds from that era contain skeletons with crushed bones and severe disabilities, injuries that would have prevented hunting or independent movement. These individuals survived for years after their injuries, which proves their community actively fed, protected, and cared for them while they recovered. This drive to intervene eventually led to the oldest deliberate surgical procedure in human history, trepanation. We have recovered skulls from 10,000 years ago featuring clean, circular holes cut with stone tools. Look closely at the smooth, rounded edges around the opening. This indicates the bone began to grow back, proving the patient survived and lived for years afterward. While some focused on dramatic surgeries, a quieter process was unfolding through observation. Generation after generation, humans noticed and remembered which plants changed how a sick body felt. They passed this knowledge forward, creating an unofficial pharmacological record. By 1500 BCE, ancient Egyptian medical texts were specifically recommending willow bark to treat fevers. Willow bark contains salicin. During digestion, the human body naturally converts it into salicylic acid, a compound that reduces pain and inflammation. Modern chemists eventually synthesized that same compound to create the active ingredient in aspirin. This pattern also applies to garlic, to raw honey, and to turmeric, remedies with thousands of years of documented use that we now confirm through modern laboratory testing. Early humans were running a massive, continuous clinical trial, identifying active chemical compounds long before the invention of modern chemistry. Of course, prehistoric medicine frequently failed. Plants didn't always work, and surgeries were often a last resort. When physical remedies fell short, communities gathered around the sick to perform rituals and songs, refusing to let them face suffering alone. This chart illustrates how cortisol levels drop when social support is introduced. The brain's expectation of care activates pathways that reduce pain and inflammation. By fostering this expectation, ancient rituals triggered the placebo effect, a measurable biological response to the belief healing is underway. Ritual and social presence functioned as practical biological triggers, activating internal self-healing mechanisms through the body's own chemistry. Today, antibiotics and vaccines provide a level of predictability that ancient healers could never have imagined. But humanity spent most of its history fighting disease completely blind. We didn't even discover the existence of bacteria until the 1670s. Even with our modern tools, clinical research shows that patients who feel genuinely cared for experience better medical outcomes. The presence of a doctor who listens can be as influential as the medication they prescribe. For 300,000 years, the defining human response to illness has been active resistance. We refuse to sit back and watch each other die. Modern medicine exists today because our ancestors possessed the stubborn, deeply human impulse to care for one another instead of giving up.